Hi, it's I'm back from the Rubik's Cubed, and today I have an unboxing from the cubicle. Ooh, very interesting. I see YJ package. Oh, so this is the Guanpo, it says over here Guanpo 2017, so maybe that's what it's called. This box is really cool, actually. It's got this nice feeling to it, almost like a mat, sort of. Very fancy box for a cheap cube. And here we have its partner in crime, the Guanlong 2017. Same type of box design. I'm very interested to see how it stacks up against the older Guanlongs, because that's what I use for my sticker mods. So maybe I'll have a different cube to use. And the final puzzle in here. I see Pro on here. I believe this is a Yuexiao Pro, and I'm really excited for this cube because many of you know I use the Yuexiao as my main. Well, before I got the GTS2M, I really hope that this can beat out my GTS2M because I just love the Yuexiao so much. So we'll see how it feels. Now, before we get into the cubes themselves, I want to give a big thank you to you guys for all of your advice on my previous unboxing video. I really appreciate all the feedback I received, and I took some of those things into account when trying to do this unboxing here. Unfortunately, that clock isn't changing. It's nailed to the wall, so sorry about that. You're going to have to deal with that. But other than that, I'm going to try to work on some different transitions and hopefully make that a little bit better from this shot to the close-up shot. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Once again, if you got any suggestions, leave them down below. I'll be happy to hear them. Of course, we got our business card. I think as of right now, other than the cubicle themselves, I am the largest individual collector of cubicle business cards. Now, there's a particular reason for this. DG and I were involved in an event at a local library where we were donated puzzles by the cubicle very kindly to give away to some kids who had learned to solve the cube. And so at that particular event, we were given a large stack of cubicle business cards to give away. And we did give away a lot of those, but at the end of the day, we ended up with a huge stack of them left between DG and I. And so we split it half and half. I definitely had more business cards than DG had before the event. And so I think the two of us have the most business cards out of everybody. So I certainly don't need another one because I have hundreds of them, literally. But yeah, add to the collection another one, I guess. Now, before we get into any of these puzzles, let's take a look at the second package. Oh, very cool. So, the smaller item over here, this looks like a Shangshao of some sort. Yeah, it's a pearl. So this is a Shangshao pearl. I remember this logo right over here. This is a Shangshao logo. I've seen that on the Wind, I believe. So, I haven't heard much about this one. This got an interesting box also. Cube companies are stepping up their box game. And here was the big item over here. We got the Rubik's Speed Cube, which is very cool. Now, I'm trying to get into collecting, sort of. So I didn't really want the Rubik's Speed Cube. I wanted the Paris edition because I wanted, you know, a rarer collector item. Not that it's super rare, but yeah, I'm happy to get this anyway. At least I'll get to see what the puzzle feels like, and then maybe at some point in the future I can get a Paris one. And we have another business card. Alright, so before I get into any of these puzzles, I want to give a huge thank you to the cubicle once again for sending me all these cubes to test out. So I think I'm going to start with the Guanlong and Guanpo 2017, and then we'll put these aside. So I have tried a Guanpo before, but I don't own one. And of course, I have plenty of Guanlongs in their packages still. So I'm going to start with the Guanpo, and then I'll compare the two Guanlongs. So these came in white, which is interesting. I'm not expecting, obviously, this to be a main of any sort, so that's fine. This is very interesting. The plastic is sort of different than what it normally feels like. It's like very bubbly and smooth almost. Not the turning, just the plastic itself. Let's see what some turning feels like, though. All right. It's a blocky sort of cube, and being that's a budget puzzle, the number one issue with most budget puzzles when you first get them is that they have some excess flash on the plastic, so that excess leads to some catching issues, and I'm definitely getting that with this puzzle right now. It feels more internal than external, but I'm sure that would go away with a little bit more breaking in. But other than that, its turning is fine, but nothing special. I think there are better options out there. I know the Kung Fu is a very good 2x2 that's also cheap. Just in general, my personal feeling on 2x2s is that most of them aren't very different, and you can get good performance out of a lot of them, even despite their price, even if it's a low price or a high price. So I don't really have a strong opinion on this. It just feels like a normal 2x2, like any other 2x2. So there's no reason for anybody to go out there and get it unless they're looking for their first 2x2 and they don't want to spend a lot of money. Okay, so now let's get into the Guanlong 2017. Anyway, this is an interesting looking puzzle. It has the squared off corner design. It kind of reminds me of a Yuexiao. Now this puzzle is white again, unfortunately, but again, this is not something that I would be looking to make as my main for speed solving, so that's not really that concerning. Again, we have that same plastic feel. It seems that the Guanlong and Guanpo are produced with the same type of plastic. It's very reflective and harder, it seems, than some of the other plastics I've felt. I don't know, it just feels bubblier and different. I don't know how to describe it. But let's get into some turns. Wow, very interesting. I really like that turning. Obviously, it's really, really loud. You can hear that. And the feeling's kind of interesting. It's got a really... Oh, got some catches right over there. Kind of clacky, and like I mentioned, it's really loud. It's also got some bumpiness in there too. Those are some of the features I like in puzzles, actually. I prefer cubes that are a bit bumpier, you know, Hualong, Yuexiao. Yuexiao was described as crispy almost. I can see that in this as well. With some lubrication, it'll become a little bit smoother, and maybe that loud sound will go away a bit. But I see this definitely having potential. It's got some good speed. And because of that different plastic, it doesn't quite have the same cheap feeling that the original Guanlong did, which is a plus. The only true way to compare the two is by unboxing an actual original Guanlong, so let's take a look at that. I think the newer one feels a bit stabler as well, and we'll test that out right now. So here's the original one. Just in my hands, the corners separate from the puzzle a bit easier. They feel a bit wobbly as compared to this one, which seems a lot more stable right off the bat. So, and of course this one doesn't have any squared off corner designs, as you can see right here. But let's give it some first turns. So you see it's still got that really loud feeling, but it doesn't have that bump that the newer one does. So yeah, I mean, overall I would say the newer one seems to have a better stability, newer, harder plastic that makes it feel a little less cheap and a bit different turning. But overall, they're still both decent cubes. You can definitely get better. And they both have some locking issues as of right now, some catching issues. I don't know, I'll have to solve on this a bunch and see how it turns out. Alright, so now let's take a look at the Shangxiao Pearl. I have no expectations going into this puzzle. I know that Shangxiao has not been very good in the past with 3x3s. The only Shangxiao puzzles 3x3s that I have are the Wind and the Aurora. The Wind was actually my first speed cube after my Rubik's brand, and it was awful. It was worse than my Rubik's brand. And, you know, it doesn't have that much of a bad rep with other cubers that I've asked. Like, they call the Wind, like, you know, a smoother puzzle. Definitely not as bad as a Rubik's, so maybe it was just mine. I'm not sure. Maybe I ruined it with WD-40. I don't know what happened, but it was just a bad puzzle. I also have the Aurora, which is fine, but nothing special also. Kind of feels like a V-cube. A really, really smooth puzzle. But yeah, so maybe this will continue on the Shangxiao trend. It will be a smooth cube. Let's take a look. Similar to the newer Guanlong, this feels like it has good stability. Nothing's moving around really right now. And it also has some weight to it. It's pretty heavy. Let's get into some first turns. Wow. This is really good. Just right off the box, this feels like a broken in cube. It is really fast. It is certainly not as loud as the Guanlong. When going at a normal solving pace, it is really, really fast. And it has sort of like a crispy feeling to it. But when turning slower, you can definitely tell it's a Shank puzzle. This puzzle is pretty smooth. So for somebody who likes that sort of feeling, this may be a good puzzle for you. Especially if your turning style complements sort of like a really, really fast puzzle. I am hearing some spring noises, which is something not so major. If you go there and do a better job with lubrication, I'm sure that will go away. I'm surprised. I opened this box not expecting a modern speed cube, but Shank has made a modern speed cube here. This is something that can compete with some of the cubes that are out today. Maybe not the best cube right now, but definitely can be somebody's main, especially if you're using something like an Oolong right now. This might even be better than something like an Oolong. Well, I am definitely pleasantly surprised about this cube. This is pretty good. Getting into the second to last puzzle, we have the Rubik's Speed Cube. So I do have a few issues with this puzzle right off the bat, even without opening it up. First of all, it has tiles. Now, a lot of people have said that they like these new tiles, but that poses a major difficulty for me because I'm not able to change it to my own sticker shades, and that's just something I can't do. So like, this would never be a main for me, and it's not really in the consideration, I know anyway, going into it. It's not really something that's going to become my main, but if it was a speed cube that was a contender for a main, I wouldn't even give it a chance because I can't put my own sticker shades on there. That's something I need for a puzzle. So while there are some benefits to it, particularly for Rubik's, who's looking to try to stop normal consumers from peeling the stickers off, that's why they're going with tiles. For somebody like me, it just doesn't work. If it were removable tiles and they offer different shades of those tiles, maybe that's better. That's an idea that I've wanted to see happen for a very long time, but won't anytime soon because that's incredibly expensive. Maybe then I would give tiles a chance. But as of right now, any tiled cube is not going to become my main. Very interesting packaging right here. Not sure if this is what comes in the stores. Obviously, this is a collaboration with GANs. And that's my second issue with it. GANs puzzles aren't for me. I've had a lot of issues with them. Stability-wise, they're just not the best type of puzzles out there, and I'm looking for something that has really good stability. Their newer cubes have been better, and GAN is pretty good at innovating some new designs like the GES system and the Octopus core, and that's really cool, but I don't ever see myself using a GANs puzzle as of right now, but you know, that could easily change in the future. Those tiles have an interesting feel to them. They are very smooth feeling. They don't really have any texture to them. They're really pretty slippery. I'm wondering maybe if that's an issue when solving, like you can slip. I'm sure it's not a big deal. The shades are actually pretty nice. If it was my shades, the green would be darker, orange would be darker, blue would be lighter, I believe. So, you know, I would change up some things, but it's not too bad. It's not to the point where it's like a stickerless puzzle for me where I just can't use it because the green just looks the same as the yellow. It's not to that point. Once again, feels like a pretty stable cube in my hands, like the previous two 3x3s I just tried. Let's get into some first turns. Wow, that is very nice. So I said that the previous puzzle was smooth. This is a really smooth puzzle. I can definitely see somebody who really loves smooth puzzles actually using this as a main, because many cubes these days, you have to put a lot of work into them if you want to get this smooth feeling out of them, and you have to constantly lubricate them with something that will give it that feeling, but this cube just seems to have it. I'm not having any stability issues, even though this really is a GANs mechanism at heart with just a Rubik's logo on it. It seems to be holding up pretty good. It's not, as Derpy would call it, floppy. So that's good. Definitely a modern cube, and something that's really great to see coming from Rubik's. I mean, the idea of this being in a store and this being what people pick up for the first time when they're buying a cube, that's great. Maybe that can get more people into cubing, and make it a little bit more bearable for newer cubers who are trying to learn how to solve, this being available in stores. Alright, so the previous two 3x3s have been pleasant surprises. The Shank Pearl and the Rubik's Speed Cube. Very, very nice cubes. I'll have to try them out a little bit more and see if they get any better. Now, are they main worthy? Probably not, but I'm hoping this next one is. This is the Yuexiao Pro. Look at this box. This is going all out. This is almost as crazy as the magnetic box that the GTS 2M comes with. Looks like it's pretty sparkly box, really glossy. So looks like just this cap comes off on top, and there we have the cube. Wow, it is really nice looking actually. The way it's presented and everything, wow. And if you look inside over here, you can see that everything is very nicely set up. And we have a stand, a mini screwdriver, Moyu mini screwdriver, and two cards. We have Drew Brad's, and I'm not sure who this is. Maybe the designer? I don't know. Man, if I had to choose a favorite logo out of any cube company, just right out of the box, Guogon would be right up there with Song's design, that onion. I just love the script of this logo, and it's just really simplistic and nice looking. So when you first open up that package and just see the cube, it's really cool looking, especially because the shades on this puzzle are really cool. They're definitely not typical shades. We have a really dark blue and red here, and we have a really dark orange as well. It's kind of hard to describe. It's a weird looking orange, and this green over here is not super light, but it's more fluorescent. I guess that's a better way to describe the orange. It's a little bit fluorescent as well. So is the yellow. So this is definitely a weird look, something that I definitely need to get used to. I'm not sure if I'll recognize too well on here. The second immediately noticeable thing is that this does not have squared off corners design. So this is one of the few modern cubes that's actually challenging the idea that you need squared off corner designs to stop corner twists. If you just have a stable cube or a cube with like a really large feet attached to it as a part of the mechanism, then corner twist shouldn't be an issue anyway. You won't need those squared off corner designs. And many people have argued that that actually contributes to the locking and catching of the puzzle. So we'll see if this makes a difference. Now, I have toyed with the idea of magnetizing my current Yuexiao. So I'm curious to see if a magnetized cube, because the Pro is magnetized, will be better than my current Yuexiao, or if it will feel like it at all. I mean, previous cubes, second versions of puzzles have felt like nothing like the originals. For example, like the Aolong GT, that felt nothing like an Aolong. So stuff like that. I'm curious to see if this will really be a true successor to the Yuexiao. If I don't like it, I might actually buy magnets and just magnetize my old broken-in Yuexiao because I like it so much. We'll have to see. Anyway, let's get into some first turns. Well, turning it right off the bat, it's a bit underwhelming. It doesn't really have a lot of speed to it. I don't feel magnets at all. Let me turn slower. I don't really feel magnets at all in here. Perhaps it doesn't have magnets. I have no idea because I just don't feel them. So maybe they're really, really weak. But then that seems to defeat the whole purpose of them. So I don't know. But it feels really tight. And some people prefer that type of feeling. But I like my cubes a little bit looser and faster like the Pearl was. But one benefit I can say is it does feel like a Yuexiao. I can definitely vouch for that. It's got the same clickiness for sure. Maybe not quite the same crispiness as the original did, which was one of the reasons why I liked it so much. But it has that bump. It has the clickiness to it. As the same clickiness as the original. It's just a smoother and slower puzzle so far. Now, of course, that might just be due to tensioning, and I need to lubricate it a little bit more. There is some lube in there, which is interesting. Yeah, so as of right now, just based on its speed, it just doesn't seem like it's for me. I mean, it's a modern cube. It's supposed to be something that can compete for a main spot, And so far, I mean, it seems like it could be with a little bit of work for me. But I don't know. It's not doing any catches or locks. It has a good feeling, and it's pretty stable, but just doesn't have the same crispiness that the original Yuexiao did, or the speed. These types of puzzles, the pro type puzzles that come in fancy boxes with big price tags, they're supposed to come out and be everybody's main. So is this cube going to be everybody's main? I doubt it, but it will be really good for people who like a smoother cube. It brings the modern performance of speed cubes today with a smoother feeling, sort of like how the Rubik's was doing, except this is a Guoguan cube, not a Rubik's Cube, and it has stickers. So that's why this is going to beat out anything Rubik's puts out. Well, definitely an eventful unboxing. Big thank you to Cubicle once again. I appreciate them sending all this stuff my way. Let me know down below what you want to see a review of. I'm definitely pleasantly surprised about these two puzzles right here, the Shank and the Rubik's. Yuexiao's got some potential, and I'm not sure if it'll become a main, but it seems pretty good right off the bat. I expected nothing less from it, so not as big as a surprise as the Shank and the Rubik's. The Guanlong and Guanpo, nothing special, unfortunately. But yeah, this was definitely very exciting, and that's about it for this one. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them down below, and they'll be much appreciated. Like, share this video, and follow me on social media in order to be awesome, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.